Hey everyone, welcome to Average Joe Preparedness. My name's Rick, and I'm an Average Joe. Okay, so I hope you don't mind my appearance. I'm out busting my backside, but this is the second video in the series for Countdown to Preparedness, this book. I'm going over it, doing the chapters thing, and giving an overview. And yeah, so if you haven't seen part one, see if I can put it right there. That's where part one's gonna be. And yeah, might as well. Let's just get into it. Now, the first video covered chapters 1 through 19. I just went over them real fast. Again, this is an overview. And this is chapter 20. And this is making fire. I'm going to go over real fast. I brought this up in the first video. I don't know if I went into as much detail as I should have. But at the end of each chapter, we'll go over it again, it has taskings. It has savings. You should be saving whether you're doing this weekly, or bi-weekly, or monthly, or whatever you can afford, whatever you can do. Water storage, you should add each time, and food purchases. So it builds up your food storage. And in this case, under task, I'm not putting my readers on, it's practice making campfires. There's more to it, but you get the point. So at the end of each chapter, you're going to have these, it says assignments, but it's usually, and it consists of tasks, savings, water storage, and grocery lists and totals, so you can see just where you're going. Things that are tracked or paid attention to. Okay, but let's look. Making fire. Now it talks about actually a little bit about how to make fire, and then actually how to build a campfire. And again, I've shown you stuff, but I use this always as an opportunity to point out things. And this is stuff I've used. So, you guys know what this is? It is a very large, this is a carpenter's pencil sharpener. It's larger than the little ones, and they say it's a little tougher. You take sticks and you do it, the little kindling stuff comes out. You guys have seen one of these. These are not my favorites. They use them on like that show Survivor. These are not my favorites. And then you have stormproof matches. Yes, everybody's seen these. I'm not plugging anything. But what I want to show you is my all-time favorite. See the Ziploc bag? I don't know if you guys can tell how cruddy this bag is, how old it is. Yes? Can you tell? I'm not exactly sure. Trust me, this thing is years and years and years old, and it's usually in that green backpack that I'm showing you guys. Yes? Yes. So when I'm out trying to look really cool starting fires, and I don't mean that in a bad way, guys, this is what I use. I'm going to bust out my kit and show you guys. Yes? I don't think I've ever done this before. I'm not sure. Get it all out. There we go. So first thing I start with is cotton balls, and I'm sure most people know, with Vaseline. You take this out, you just peel these. There we go. Edit your videos better, Rick. You peel these little things off right there, and you see that? So it's cotton balls with Vaseline. And if that's not cheating enough, you guys know what this is? Hand sanitizer. Squeeze a little bit on there, it's alcohol. And then, oh man. You guys remember this? That's from another store, it doesn't matter. This is the one I use, right here. This is I've been using this thing for years, yes? So this is what I do when I play Mountain Man and I want to go do a campfire. But you know what I really use when I just want to make a fire? I'm not trying to be a jerk, guys, but seriously. Okay, I'm just trying to be funny. I want to put all this stuff away. But the chapter goes over ways of making fire, and most especially how to make a campfire. Literally, the teepee, you've got the little building thing. If you guys have watched Survivor when they do the fire making thing at the end of the season, there's different ways of doing it. Yes, but the only way you're going to know how to do a fire is, like the book says under taskings, is whoosh, go out and start a fire. You can do it in your grill, you know, if you've got one of those charcoal grills, or you can do something on the ground, or go to a campsite. But you'd be surprised how hard it is to build a fire. Not kidding. Okay, next chapter, entertainment. Now I can tell you from experience, because I've been around the world, and I've been stuck all over the world for long periods of time. And what's worse is when you don't know how long you're going to be stuck there. You with me? It plays on your mind. So I got in the habit of, I always had a bag with me, and I would always carry these. Not necessarily this brand, but playing cards. I usually had a couple of decks, because once you bust out a deck of cards and start playing, people come around and you like throw them other decks of cards. You can do things like this, not plugging the brand, but you guys all know the game. Usually for more like children, because yeah, card games, or I don't know. It's up to you guys. The point being is entertainment. When you are stuck and you don't have anywhere to go, or you don't know when you can go, and you don't know how long it's going to last, and cell phones, this was before cell phones was a thing. Entertainment, simply a deck of cards. It's easy. Yes? Yes. All right, the next chapter. Oh, this is a complicated one, guys. Can you read that? I'm going to say it out loud, even though I know the algorithms and all that, but the answer is, in this book, this chapter is titled Firearms. Now that's allegorical, like everything. That's for each person to decide for themselves where they are, where they're going, what their situation is. Yes? So if you're one who's like, no, you just skip that chapter. Just because it's in the book doesn't mean that and you don't like it, it doesn't invalidate the entire book. Yes? Now there's lots of channels out there. I have my opinion, and it is what it is. There's way too much controversy, in my opinion. If you go out there on the internet, there's way too much controversy when it comes to that. Not only it in of itself, the subject, but then once you get into it, there's controversy all the way down about everything to the micro minutia. People are going to argue with you. So my recommendation is you do it your way. If you decide to do it, if you don't decide to do it, that's your business too. Yes? Moving right along, next chapter is alternate modes of transportation. Now, once again, I'm not going into the details of each chapter. If you want to get the book, that's your business. I'm using this to highlight what's in this book, and then I'm using it to highlight things we've either talked about or I can show you. So our biggest thing for an alternate form of transportation, i.e. if vehicles don't work, because that's everybody's usually is their primary, is bicycles. We ride our bikes. We've been riding them for years. If worst case scenario, because we have, I'm going to put this down, because we have grandchildren, you know those little carriers that go on the back? It's got two wheels and the zipper thing, and you put the grandkids in it and you ride them around, or children, or it's got the red flag. That, yes, that can also be used. It has alternate things. You can put other stuff in it. You with me? I'm used to pulling that on my bike, and you can put stuff in it if need be. And then if a bike isn't usable, if it either breaks down or you can't do it on the roads or whatever, is these boots are made for walking, and you need to be ready for that. Now, sticking with the same subject, there's a long-time commenter, and he's commented on some of my stuff when it talks about, and other channels have talked about it too, about electric bikes. The electric bikes are cool. Oh, okay, I haven't got that yet, an electric bike. I don't know how far down. It's probably pretty far down on my list, only because I'm waiting for the cost. The costs are coming down, and there's other ways of doing it. But that's something too. Or motorcycles, something small and maneuverable that you can get in and out. Or if you want to go as far as those razors, or there's lots of things that people can use as alternate forms of transportation. But it's just something, and again, I like lists. And the chapter, if nothing else, will get you to think about it. Does that make sense? Yay, I hope so. Okay, next chapter, preparing food post-disaster. Now, we just went over making a campfire. That's one thing. You can use your grills. That's another. I'm not going over everything in the book. I'm just throwing stuff out there that I would use. I've got a fire pit, too. A lot of people have fire pits. Let's see. Ooh, you can have, I just run around and grab this stuff in between clips. Folding stoves. Yes? Make sure you have fuel. Alcohol stoves. Make sure you have fuel. This is, I've shown this once before. This is my Old Faithful. It's heavy, so I'm sure the hikers and the lightweight people don't like it. I don't even know if I can get it out of here in time while my minutes run out. You guys remember this? It unfolds. You can use anything. Sticks, twigs, whatever. You can also use alcohol containers will get in there, and so will things like this. Yes, I like it. Just a reminder, if you're going to use anything like this, foods that you're going to use, dehydrated foods, you can go with MREs. Make sure you have the equipment to cook the things. You guys don't want me to open this kit up. You know, it's like a Cub Scout kit. And muy importante, as far as I'm concerned, these usually come in the MREs. I have extra ones. Is that spoon. If you know, you know. If you were in the military, if you know, I carry these spoons around. Just the spoon. I have spares. But what it has is it has things like salt and pepper, and some of them have actually red peppers. And you got to flavor up your food, guys. You know, if you're not going to do it this way, do it some other way. There's people that have these little bitty shakers of like special seasonings that they use because spice of life. Yes, I'm just throwing it out there. My experience, I can eat bland stuff, but most people can't. Yes, and it's always a little nicer salt and pepper. Okay, let's go through the next chapters. Try to do it quick. How's that sound? Next one, hidden storage. That's for each person to decide for themselves. Where you have your things, how hidden you have your things. There's books on that. Yes? Once again, each person. Next chapter is hand tools. I work on getting hand tools and non-powered hand tools. I have stuff like, I'm going off script, Rick. Like power tools. Yes, different ones that I use. Not plugging them, guys, just grabbing right here is what I have. I've got more, doesn't matter. But I also have hand tools, non-powered hand tools, and I try to build it up just in case. Yes, but that's for you guys. Whole chapter on it here. It's pretty cool. Then let's move to sugar, spice, and everything nice. Just a couple chapters ago, which was like maybe a minute ago or two, I was talking about salt and pepper when preparing food. And that's what this is. And it's got a list of different kinds of spices you might want to use. And it emphasizes, like I was trying to just a little bit ago, how food tastes a lot better with spices. If you guys don't know, try eating food without any spices in it for a while. I mean everything, all the way down to salt and pepper. Next couple of chapters are improvised weapons. Depends on the law, where you're at, what do you think? I'm just gonna move past that chapter. And then ham radios. I've already mentioned that when it comes to 2A radios or ham radios or CB radios, I don't have mine yet and I don't have enough information. However, some of the information you're looking for, a good starting point, is right here. All right, now we come to safety equipment. This covers everything from a CO2 detector to safety-toed boots. Yes, and everything in between. And then we go to blades for survival. Now I thought about busting out my stuff like I have with the other things. However, like a lot of things when it comes to preparedness and whatever, you're gonna get nothing but arguments from everybody. So my recommendation, this gives some broad things, but my recommendation is find what works for you. You with me? Because everyone's going to argue. I mean, and again, it goes down all the way to the minutia that they fight over, and I don't understand it. I start with good enough, and then I keep going until I find something that works for me. Yes? Other than that, I don't care how big or small or thick or angled, or as long as it works for what I need to do, yay, it's good to go. Now, I want to point out, again, before I hit this next chapter, that I mentioned this book goes all the way from basic emergency preparedness, practical preparedness, and it goes up here. And if you aren't there in your journey, you can bypass the chapters and come back to them later on when you are there. And if they talk about things that you don't want to talk about, and there's people that don't, then again, 80-20. If 80% of this book works for you and the other 20% is disregarded, it's still a good place to get information. Yes? Or at least that's what I think. The next one is finding and storing firewood, which normally you shouldn't have to do unless it's like really bad. And then planning to bug out when away from home. I know that I don't want to say scares, but that scares people when they're traveling and they can't carry the stuff that they want to have. They don't, especially if you're traveling by aircraft or you're really far away from where your home is, which is where most people want to be. They just want to click their heels, and there's no place like home. It's a scary thing, and the subject's covered. Yes? Yes. All right, planning to regroup is the next chapter. I've talked about the fact that the lovely lady in my life, she works down in the city 1 day a week. She's required to. And if she has to leave, and we have a plan, and everyone should have a plan to come together. Ours, basically, I can give it to you. The basic part is everybody comes home. But everybody needs to come up with a plan. You do, based on your area, where you're going to be, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is a reason to discuss it. This is a reason to think about it, and it's a reason to go over it. Yes? Yes. And then we're on to non-food pantry items. And let me tell you what, guys, this covers everything. Let me rephrase, a lot of things that you may or may not have thought of. Yes? And it gives the reasons why, which I like. It's always a good thing. Now we have crank radios and police scanners. Now I've shown you guys that I have those crank radios. I've got them actually wrapped up, but you know I have them. And police scanners. Did you know that there's apps on your phones? And if the phones are still working, just to let you know, there's actually apps on your phones. You can bring up a police scanner if you want. And it discussed the whys and the wherefores in this chapter. And then site security surveys. For some people, depending on what their history is and experience, it is a natural thing to do. Yes, you'll hear people talk about it, but it may not be a natural thing for you. You may not think you need to. But again, these chapters in here, if you just read through them, none of these chapters are really long. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to either think about something you've never thought about before, or it's an opportunity to rethink, to validate your position, whether it's yay or nay. Yes? And we're going to keep going up the spectrum. In my opinion, that's what this is. The next one, structure hardening part 1, doors and windows. And then structure hardening part 2, alarms. Some of you might be like, holy Moses, I hope I never have to do those things. There might be some people living in bad places that right now they actually do those things. And then there's some people that are going to be like in the middle. Some people may say, you know, the little lights that turn on, motion sensor lights, some people may consider those alarms. I wonder if it's in here. And people have those. You with me? Some people might have the cameras outside and it alerts on your phone when somebody's out there. I wonder if that's in. So don't dismiss it off the top of your head like, I'm not going to need to do those things. Some people are getting deadbolts or stronger deadbolts on their door frames. Yes? Just something to think about. Okay, we're still moving up the spectrum. Yes? Next one is reducing your footprint. And that's mainly not making it look like you stick out. Yes? We'll call it Gray Man. I've done a video. I don't know if I'm going to plug it. I'm not plugging anything in this book, videos. But I think I did. We talked about being a Gray Man before. But this is Gray Manning after, if you guys understand what I'm saying. And then we get to practicing situational awareness. Now this one can be used all the way down here, almost right after basic emergency preparedness. We'll call it the beginning of practical preparedness. And it has to do with being aware of your situation, not walking around like a zombie with a cell phone. You guys know what I'm talking about? People get mugged, people get hurt, people get when they're not focused. Yes? Yes. All right, let's jump up here again. Planning for post-collapse excursions. When everything goes to heck, what are you going to do? How are you going to go out and do things? Yes? Some people might be like, pshaw, that's too far away for me to think about. Okay, go past this chapter and go to odds and ends to stock up on. Now this covered water, and then it covered food, and then there was one where I said it covers just about everything else, non-pantry items. This one covers just about everything else, from paracord, which some people might already have, trash bags, I'm just giving you some examples, and duct tape. So basically covers almost everything. Somewhere in this book, most everything is covered. Yes? Yes. Now I'm going to stop for a moment and point out, almost every one of these chapters, I've seen video upon video upon video that people have done just on each one of these chapters, and then sometimes divisions into those chapters. And again, that's another reason I like this book, is I didn't find anything in here that is not somewhere people talking about, doing videos on, having discussions about something that's along the spectrum of preparedness. Yes? So, and look, vehicle emergency kits. Well, heck, we've done them here. Again, I'm not plugging anything on this book review, but you get my point. Now let's bounce back up here again. Stocking up on bartering items. Once again, along the spectrum, it's going to be up here. All right, now we're at building temporary shelters. Now, I've actually volunteered with youth programs, and we would go out, and I've actually taught that class on how to do it. And it's mostly for people to get like lost in the woods. You guys will catch that once in a while on the news. Someone got lost and they were rescued like 2 or 3 days later. But it can apply for other things. Bulking up the pantry. This is like a re-look. If you remember, at the end of each chapter, the taskings, you've been, I don't know if you guys can see that, pause it and look, but there's been assignments on buying stuff for your pantry. And this at week 47, this is chapter 47, you can do it any way you want. This is a good time to do a relook. And then inventorying the basics. This isn't a relook at just the pantry. Now this is a relook over everything you've done over the last 48 weeks. Yes, it's a good time. Okay, for the next 2 chapters, I have examples. The Survival and Preparedness Library. Again, look, this isn't everything I have, guys, but this is the stuff that I have readily here. You guys have seen this. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know I have it. And it talks about different things you could look at. Homesteading skills, food stores and preparation. I'm not going to talk about that one. Wild edibles and medicine, medical. And if you look back here, I don't know if you pause the thing and can zoom in. I don't know if you guys can do that. You'll find mine goes across the spectrum. The next one is emergency lighting. Okay, this is it's not a very neat kit that I have, but this is like when the power goes out. Let's just see what I have for emergency lighting real fast. Can I do it? I have, ooh, look, a lantern. I have, now there's people who are gonna say something about candles. Yes, let's talk about them. Candles are dangerous. Most people don't know how to use them. People aren't used to being fire. People aren't used to having fire around like they were back in the day. If you're gonna get some that you can't be knocked over. Keep the kids away from them. Keep the animals away from them, like your dogs. Glow sticks, more candles. Oh, look, these little lights. You know what I'm talking about. You know why it doesn't come on? I have my batteries backwards. We've talked about that before. You guys seen these? You blow them up and they're solar powered lights. What else do we have while I turn my back to the camera? Flashlights, headlamps, extra batteries. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. I've said it before, I've said it again. And I don't want to get away from the book, but all the stuff I have is years and years and years of procurement. Don't think you have to run out and get this stuff, guys. You see what I'm saying? Yay. Okay, if you haven't been keeping track, we're pretty close to the end. Drills, drills, and more drills. You need to practice. Muscle memory. When things are going bad, I can tell you guys stories. Let me tell you a story. I've been a first responder. I'm not a first responder, but I have been a first responder in tragedies. And we'll go with like car accidents. Most of the time, if you go to a class when it talks about self-aid and buddy care, first aid, most of the time, a non-first responder is the first person on the scene. And that's one of the reasons why you need to get training. And I can tell you this, I've been in situations where inside my mind, I was losing it. And I got used to this, so it doesn't surprise me anymore because it's happened a bunch of times. Well, I'll lose it. I'll be like, holy Moses, I'll be running around inside my head, ah! But I found out outside, it didn't look like that at all. Outside, I was calm, I was cool, I was collective, and I was doing exactly what I needed to do, one step at a time. Do you know why? Practice. So I'm just letting you know, anybody that's been in an extreme situation and they've done it a few times, and if they act all like John Wayne cool, like, oh yeah, you know, it ain't that big of a deal. And I've been in situations, extreme situations where I was calm and cool and collective on the inside, but not every single time. There are times where you're going to lose it and you're going to have to depend on your muscle memory. Drills, drills, and more drills. I'm an advocate. Okay, let's finish it off. The last one, second to last, or last tasking, is electrical power. And it covers everything from batteries to solar power to generators, yes? Because anyone who thinks that electrical power is not the key to survival for people with opposable thumbs, for human beings, you haven't really taken a look around. Yes, for the vast majority of people, if the electrical power goes out, we're cavemen. Yes, I don't mean to sound like a jerk. And then finally, it's a wrap-up. How did you do? And it actually shows what your total should be when it comes to food, when it comes to the money that you've put aside, your training, so it's a wrap up at the end of the book, which is kind of nice. So you can figure out how well you did. Yes? Yes. All right, so that's it for the book. Once again, I hope I didn't go over it too fast. I hope I didn't go over it too slow. I hope I'm not, and no offense to Mr. Cobb, I hope I'm not selling this book like this is the end-all be-all. This isn't, Mr. Cobb, and to you people, this isn't the end-all be-all, and I don't want to sell it that way. What I do want to sell it, I'm not selling it, but what I do want to call it is it's an excellent place to start. It covers an entire spectrum from basic to practical to worst case scenario preparedness. And I like that. It's broken down small. This is not huge, guys. You see what I'm saying? And it's a good starting point. Now, each one of those chapters could be books, a book or books in of themselves. So let's not go crazy on how much information is in here. But it is a good place to start, in my opinion. I get nothing from it, guys. And I went on Amazon and I saw they're like 15 bucks, which I don't think I paid that much for, but you can get them used, because you know how it says available used, for like 4 bucks. So, something to think about. All right, with that, I'm going to bring this to an end. I hope you guys didn't mind me doing this. It was just like when you ever get an itch and you got to scratch it. So that's what this was. I don't know if I'm going to do any books in the future. I've been doing this for a couple of years. That's the first time I ever did a book. So anyways, wrapping it up. I hope this finds you well. I hope you are happy. I hope you are positive. And I hope, however you can do it and for whatever you need to be prepared for, you are being prepared.